May the odds be ever in your favor.
This is the true reaction after finishing the book. I am wrecked, and I didn't really cry for any other of the deaths, not much, but the ending, with every epilogue, Suzanne Collins has wrecked me more and more. She knows what she is doing.
I hope you'll appreciate my makeup. It's very Panem inspired, and this top that I'm wearing is the latest top that I made myself. Yes, this is a crochet top that I created, and I thought it really reminded me of Panem feels because it's a nice color, it's bright, it's weird, and the capital is all about weird and bright, and so I thought this was the perfect thing to wear. Why am I here? To discuss the latest book from Suzanne Collins. I'm certainly late to the party. I have completely, in my mind, skipped the fact that the release date was on the 18th, or better, I knew, and then skipped the fact that the release part was on the 17th evening, so that completely was off of my mind. And then what happened was my book arrived to me on the 19th, and finishing it all took me 3 days-ish, so I ended up finishing it yesterday, and today, composed, I can say all I think about it. So warning, this will not be spoiler free because I'm sorry, I just want to make this discussion something like talking about it with friends and talking about everything that blew my mind, and that I was like, yes, yes, the whole book was like a massive yes. It was, just over the top. And so let's dive deep in and let's discuss all of this. The book, what are we talking about? If you're here, I assume you know, but just for everyone else, the book is the second prequel to the Hunger Games series. The first one was A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and this one is Sunrise on the Reaping. And this one was focused on the story of Haymitch. We got some of the story of Haymitch in the third book specifically, especially when they are watching back the Hunger Games and they watch the one where Haymitch was in, which was the one where they reaped double tributes. So the double amount of tributes than normal is not 2 from each district, is 4 in this case, and so it's even more tragic. The whole thing is a mess from the very beginning, because the first bombshell that we are dropped into is the fact that Haymitch's birthday is the day of the reaping, which, OMG, that must suck. And indeed it does suck, because every day when he is celebrating, which he is not, but when he is just owning up to the fact that it's his birthday, he needs to go to the reaping ceremony, see people get reaped and get sent into the arena. So it's tragic and it's terrible, and this is already horrific. He has a mother and a little brother, and the dad is dead. So we only have that, and the mother is very resourceful, very work-heavy mom. She really wants to take care of the children. She has a laundry business, and she tries everything to make sure that her kids have something. The kids themselves work. What happens at the reaping ceremony is that we have the tributes getting reaped, and then at some point when the second male tribute gets reaped, there is a shot and he gets shot, and then there is mayhem. Haymitch has this girl that he is with, which is another very nice little trivia tidbit that I loved, because this girl is from the Covey. The Covey is basically the circus, and what they do is they are very free spirits. In the first prequel, we learn that the girl that Snow has to mentor is from the Covey, and she is one of the first free spirits that we get to meet, and we get introduced to the Covey through her. and they are basically forced to remain in District 12. And when it comes down to Leonor Dove is the name of Hamish's girlfriend, and she is from the Covey as well, and she is a free spirit and they love each other very much. They are 16, but the love runs deep, and you will see why this matters later on in the book, because it really is something. And so we have this chaotic reaping scene where we have the shot, we have chaos, and they just decide that the one that is going to step in and pretend to have been reaped is Hamish. He just gets thrown into the mix because he stands up for her and he needs to step up to play the games. So we have, from the previous game, it's an improvement because they are treated as beasts, but at least they have some food that they can eat, and they are still judged very heavily by the capital, but it's a bit improved. And then it improves until there is the whole charade of empathy that is what happens where Katniss is in the reaping process. So it gets worse through time, but at the same time it gets better for the tributes, as they are basically prepared in better ways to go off and die. So they just have a really nice life until they have to go off and die. So what they do in this is that all of the tributes that are not careers, they build an alliance. It's so heartbreaking because in the training session with Hamish, we see characters that we learned to meet in the previous books, and we have Effie, we have Mags, we have Beatty, we have Wirus. It's interesting because it gets to show you how, for example, Mags is very old even by the time that Hamish is reaped, and so she is just this mum figure within the games, and she takes care of Hamish. Because another thing that they mess up is that the preparation team is just not competent at all. They don't care. They just care about grades and not about the people that they are prepping. And so what they do is that they send them out to the wolves, the chariots get rogue, and then one of the tributes dies in Hamish's arms. And so this is tragic in itself, and that also opens the game to have another session where we have this other character that steps in that is being drugged and used by the capital as a replacement for one of the previous tributes that has been reaped. She was called Luella, and we never know who she is really. She is just someone that they guess is from District 11, but they don't really know, and that she just steps in and becomes crazier and crazier as they feed her more substances and also information in her ear, because they listen to everything she says and people around her say. So that is horrible in itself. And we also learn that BC has a son, which is just heartbreaking because the son has obviously been reaped to go into the Hunger Games, and BC knows that the son will probably 99% die because he's very young, very weak, and he's very smart, but doesn't realistically have many chances to survive in this whole ordeal. And we also get to learn more about all of the other tributes from 12, all of the other tributes from the other districts, and this whole thing is interesting because it shows us that they are trying to step up against the capital. And what they also do is loop Hamish in this plot to try to destroy the arena. So he decides that he's going to do that for the greater good. The games begin, a lot has happened, and Hamish is the first one to head to the cornucopia, get the backpack, runs away. And then Lulu, for some reason unknown, meets Hamish. She basically, I don't know, finds him, and so he tries to protect her, but she gets poisoned by the environment and dies pretty soon. Because it was all beautiful and flowery and so magical, but everything in it was poisonous. He also meets Ampert, which is Beatty's son, and they try to put into place the plot to destroy the arena. It doesn't really work. Ampert gets targeted and killed by the capital in a horrific way. And after that, we have another one of the District 12 tributes. And she is iconic, quite bold, quite out there, and she's very funny. And her and Image establish an alliance between themselves, and they develop a family-like relationship, and they start working together to just be together against the capital. The less tributes there are, the more they don't know what to do, because they don't want to kill each other and they don't want to separate, because the loneliness of being in the arena alone is very much something. So they stay together, but by another decision of the capital, she gets targeted and she is killed. And this is something that we see previously in what Katniss and Peeta see in the recordings, where it looks like they decided to separate, but it's not actually the case. She was only going to get something to eat, and then they were going to get to someplace together, but they make it look like they were separating. And so she dies, he has no one else, and so it only remains him, another one of the people that stand up against the careers, and one career. He tries to protect this other tribute as much as he can, but that doesn't go well. The other tribute gets killed by the courier, and the final battle is against him and this courier. And what he has discovered in the arena is that when he threw something down where there was a force field, that something came back up, and so he manages to kill the last courier because he is exhausted, unable to fight anymore. He has fought until his last bit of energy, and the courier has not died. They are both equally matched. If not, he is in a disadvantage. But because he knows this thing about the force field, he forces the courier to go against the force field, and the axe that she throws in comes back and hits her in the head. So this is the story, briefly and badly said, of the arena. And then what happens is that Haymitch is forced, because he has defied the capital more than one time. He has found the force field, found the end of the arena. He has tried to destroy the water tank under the arena, tried to disable the arena. He has been bad. He has done things he shouldn't have done. And so at the end, he is forced into solitary confinement in the training building for a while. Then afterwards, when he is basically going mad and trying to escape or kill himself, they come rescue him, put him together for the celebration parties, and then shipped back to his own district. And in the district, when he arrives, it's the most tragic part, because he finds out as soon as he arrives that there's just been a fire inside his house, and both his mom and his brother have perished. And afterwards, he learns that Lenore Dove is still in prison, and she has been starved. So when she comes out, they basically go into the field, embrace, they're all happy, and she takes out a packet of sweets that she says her brother has been giving her, and it turns out it wasn't from the brother, it was from the capital, and it was poisoned. And so she eats one, and that is enough to kill her, because she has been starved for the previous days, so she is unable to throw it up. So it is heart-wrenching, the fact that Haymitch comes out of the arena, and like Beatty, like many others, he is forced to see all of his family perish, all of the people he loved perish. And the reason why I said that the love between the two of them was significant is because the sweet that she has ingested was a sweet that he handed to her. So he blames himself a lot for her death and not seeing it before it was too late to have given her the sweet. And that cements the love that they have for one another even more, because one could think, okay, 16 years old, you know, you could move on. And you could. But because this happens, Haymitch is distraught. He has lost everyone he knew and loved, everyone he had something to do with. And so from that moment on, and that I foresaw, the reason why he drinks like crazy is just to forget all of the faces of the people in the arena. Like Katniss is dreaming about them, he is tortured by them, and also he is tortured by the image of his girlfriend. And all of those things. So he purposefully distances himself from everyone else to not hurt anyone else. And I'm not gonna spoil this, but the final chapter is gut-wrenching and is insane. The connections between his story and, in a sense, Snow's story, because he also was in love with a girl from the Covey, and if you know, you know, but that didn't end well. And then the comparisons between Katniss's story and Haymitch's story is really something to bear in mind. I feel that this was really something that we needed to build a full picture, and obviously, yes, the story would have been great even without this, but with this there is just so much more added to the full picture that this second prequel was really something that we needed to just place Haymitch as a character, but also to get to know many of the other characters that we get to know more of later on. If I have to guess, Gianna and Finnick were not there. They are younger than Haymitch, both of them. We need their stories too. Like, I don't know, maybe make a short story if you don't want to make a book, Suzanne, but we can need those stories too. Like, if you want to make it full and complete, just chip in. We need the full picture of them. So please, wonderful to see also Haymitch's connection to all of the families within the district, and the fact that his best friend was Katniss's father is just, it just opens your heart to understand that he also knew him personally and had a deep connection with him, and that would have been even more important for him when it came down to mentoring Katniss in those years. So I just think that that was great, and the connection that he still keeps feeling for Leonard Dove is insane. Also, the songs were something that was just an addition, because whenever you read a song that you recognize, you're like, oh, got it. It's just those little tidbits of lore that you just want in your story. It just makes it so much better. I've seen critiques about, for example, the previous prequel, saying that it was just for the fans. It added nothing. We could have lived without it. It was just a lot of talking, not much substance. And I disagree. I think that the story has more depth coming in with different protagonists and not only Katniss, because it shows us different eras of this event, different times in which it has gone through its evolution, how it impacted all of the people involved with it. And it's beautiful to see that Haymitch's story is really helpless in my mind, because aside from all the tragedies that he has lived, the fact of having failed what he considered to be his mission to break the arena and stop this sunrise to come up on the reaping, that was his mission. He didn't want a sun to rise on the reaping anymore. And the fact that you have his story, it just shows you that within a war, you have those people that are so many years behind a time when that is possible to actually put in place a revolution that actually works. He has good intentions, but also the naivete, the simplicity of being a 16 years old that wants everything to be better, and sometimes it's not possible straight away. So it's really impactful to see that his story could be the story of someone that wants something better, but is just unable to take everything that comes at him all at the same time. And so I've seen people being like, oh yeah, like I've read this story and now I can understand Haymitch and I can redeem him. Did you think that someone that came out of a reaping could be mentally sane? So many people that are inside the reaping, so many people that have won, are traumatized. If not all of them, I think all of the people that have gone through reaping are traumatized in that reality, because you have killed people probably, you have seen deaths, you have gone against your peers, some of your friends even, and you have done all of that to survive against a capital that cared nothing for you and just will force someone else next year to do the same thing because it didn't matter that you won. You are inside the circle of abuse that will never end until Katniss comes along and the whole revolution takes place. But that is just because the timing is better. They have had more time to organize themselves. They've had more time to build up a resistance that in Haymitch's time wasn't possible. And so that just cracked and broke a boy that had all of this hope, all of this will to do good, and that could actually not do it. This story is also very focused on the impact of propaganda. Propaganda not necessarily as a bad thing, because I've seen it in another video that I will link below about one of the theories about how the story is shaped in light of the rules and laws of just war. And this whole, what was I saying? Oh my gosh. Got it, propaganda. We were talking about propaganda and saying it's not necessarily bad because it can shape how everything is thought about, but especially war. But when it comes down to the propaganda within Haymitch's time, we already meet Plutarch. We already meet his propagandist ways, his way of building up stories and changing things. And it is very significant how much Haymitch's story is changed in the eyes of the capital. And that made me really think, because I'm trying to, in my own life, go not necessarily against, but dive deeper into things that I've been told and just learn if that has been accurate or if there was more to the story. Even now with the assassination filed of JFK in America, I know that this is something that is coming up a lot as a topic, because people were told things and then they weren't true, and now that the files have been released, there is a lot of talk about what has actually been going on. We didn't know the full truth, but what is the truth? It's like 1984. It shows you how much a false story that people are willing to believe can change everything, because the people in the capital are willing to believe whatever. They are just willing to believe that Haymitch was this guy that cared for no one and nothing, and he actually really wasn't. But this is the story that they have portrayed of him, and this is the story that they were so willing to accept. And we see the same when it comes down to Katniss and the love story with Peeta. Yeah, of course they cared that she is a compassionate person, but what they wanted to see was the romance that was guiding them away from the fact that they were killing children. So I think that that was something very spot on, and I really loved the work that Suzanne has been putting into all of this. I don't know if we will get another prequel. I really hope we do, because as I said, we are missing some stories, and you know, in some series you are just willing to get more and more and more. I would like that. But overall, the story was masterfully written. We know that Suzanne Collins, when she comes, she means business. Seeing how they connect to one another, I think, is really beautiful. And that's why I say, maybe, Suzanne, you don't have a full book, but maybe a novella, a short story. Give us the readings for the other characters that we knew and loved, and especially Finnick and Joanna, because Joanna as well, we know that she has lost everything and she has lost everyone, and Finnick had Annie, another winner, so their stories could be cool and they could be dual perspective. I don't know, it's a different thing. I'm just pitching to you, Suzanne. Just listen to me, we want to read it. This book was insanely good. I really loved everything about it, and I tend to be quite critical about the books I read. I haven't found something I really loved in a long time, so this has been really beautiful. I just already want to go back and reread it because it was just that good. I think The Hunger Games is a masterpiece because of all it does and because of all it is, and how much it makes us think, how much it allows us to put ourselves in perspectives that are truly something that we can reflect upon safely while looking at horrors that are happening in our own time and asking ourselves where we stand, what we are willing to let go by without looking, because It just is something that is convenient, and I think that that is what Image was unwilling to do at the beginning, and then became so overwhelmed that he didn't become complacent, but he became scared and very unable to fight back against. And so that is just something that shows you the power has over you. It really is a masterpiece, and it is masterful how all of the arenas that we get to see are different in their own way, and I love that about it because it shows us the potential of technology to rock out our environments. And the arena is also a way of showing us that what we see is not necessarily what is there, and this arena specifically was key for that. And that could also be considered an allegory of things in modern time, like social media and all of the beauty that we see all over the place, and then you look at it inside, and sometimes there are stories that are completely horrific of people profiting and doing horrid things within those environments that really have to make us think about the beauty and the beast within those tools that we use within every single situation in life. So overall, I highly encourage you to read this book if you haven't already, but I think I'm late to the party. Probably everyone has already read it. I hope you liked my very biased review of this book. I loved all the previous ones, but I have to say I love this one more than other books even in the whole series, but I'm not even sure because I've not reread them before reading this one. And I hope that you enjoyed my ramblings and that you will decide to stick around, like the video. I really hope we'll see each other in the next one. Bye guys!